What is going on, beautiful people? Welcome back to the 817 podcast, where we talk about the lovely city of Fort Worth, Texas, and Tarrant County. We get into local politics, news, culture. We give you one big story, three short stories, wins, losses, and actions as we live in a pivotal time in this county and in this city. This week, we also interviewed Rojo Mejero, and that's also going to be an effective one that you want to watch this week as the Arlington elections is happening. And Ann and Wesley, we got to figure out this intro because now that we're the 817 pod beyond Fort Worth, it's just so for
I
5
like that,
years.
the 817 beyond Fort Worth.
Yes.
I think Ann just cracked it.
Look at that.
And I'm exhausted.
It's 3:30.
I won't remember in 10 minutes.
We've been here since 9:30. We had our largest gather.
Mm-hmm.
The gather, we couldn't find seats. I was
Yeah.
on Wesley's shoulders.
We were scraping together chairs and pulling them into the circle for sure.
Man, if that's what 2026 is going to be about, we have an exciting year ahead of us. Arlington's in here. Do you know Arlington has a pack? That's like crazy cool.
Dream City Pack.
Dream City
go.
pack. And they're going into Arlington with real power. Like, I love that. And then we had Rojo.
I think what's really important about having such a big group of people show up is something that we're going to talk about in our first story. So our first short story, we're talking about public comment and city council drama.
Oh, it's juicy. Oh, we got Carlos. Oh, we got Crane.
Okay, so let's start at the beginning. So Tuesday, what happened, Ann?
So on Tuesday, we had a vote by the council to rescind the public comment that they had started down the road of doing and just having public comment separate from all their other city business, 10 meetings a year. Mm-hmm. Now we are having public comment at every council meeting.
Yeah.
So that was, and then they also voted to rescind.
Originally, that was all that they were going to vote on, but like a bunch of people from the gather showed up. A bunch of people who've heard this conversation that we've been having about fixing public comment all gave really consistent speeches. I was a little concerned by that. Like Andrew Torrey went right before me and said almost my exact same speech, but it was good. It really drove the point home of like, it's beyond just more public comment. There's more things that need to be fixed. And so after all of those speeches, we saw some council members.
Elizabeth Beck made a motion, because there hadn't been a motion yet, to restore public comment to all council meetings and change their council procedures that they had voted on along with limiting public comment that automatically reduced the amount of time that we would have at public comment if a certain number of people showed up, if it was going to go over an hour. And that was an automatic thing that they were doing. And it was giving the mayor the right, as the chair of the meeting, to reduce public comment time.
Yeah, because that was the bullshit that we were dealing with. Was in December, they cut everyone's time because they said they had to get to the tree lighting ceremony. Right. And then when we showed up at the last public comment, they cut everyone's time, and this time didn't even have a valid excuse.
They didn't tell us the reason why. Mm-hmm. They didn't tell us that they were worried about losing quorum or anything like that, or that they didn't want to sit there for more than an hour. Yeah. And with the council procedures being laid out, that it was like, if it's enough speakers to make us sit here for more than an hour, it automatically can be reduced.
But that's every meeting. Yeah.
Yeah, I think
every
that's
meeting's
a terrible
going to be longer
thing.
than an hour. And yeah, and when we showed up on Tuesday, first thing I found out was they were cutting everyone's time again.
To 2 minutes.
And at least before we got some notice, not that time. So it was like, it was a very prescient anger. Like we were all dealing with it in that moment. Everyone had their 3-minute speeches ready to go about why public comment is so important. And everyone was scrambling to figure out, well, how do
2 meetings in a row, I didn't have the ability to say everything I wanted to say because of the cut time.
They did you real dirty. Yeah. We forgot that they had changed it to where rather than an agenda item comes up, you speak on it, they moved all the non-consent agenda item speakers all at the same time. So Ann had a great speech about public comment. She showed it to me. She also had to go speak about the TXU power plant that they were trying to get a historical preservation
designation on.
Yeah.
And so right before I was about to go up there, when they called my name, I realized that because those were 2 items under the non-consent agenda, that they were restricting me to 2 minutes on any items that I'd signed up to speak on. I was not going to be called up to speak again. And so I had to decide which one to speak on. But because there were so many people in the room who had said such great remarks about the public comment, I felt like it was important for me to make my remarks about the the designation. And so I went ahead and did that. And then thankfully a couple other people stood up and said, are you telling me that you made Ann choose what she was going to speak on today because she only had 2 minutes?
And they were pointing out that at Commissioner's Court, as awful as it is over there, at least they let you speak on the individual items. That's sad that we're looking at Tim O'Hare's shit show as a better example.
Well, that and the fact that when they make everybody speak on all the non-consent agenda items up front, and then they go through the agenda and vote on each of the things, it just so happened that the public comment thing was first. And so all of our comments were right before that for the most part, because most of those people were speaking on that. And so your comments were in close proximity to the vote that they had. But if your item is further down the list, all your passionate comments are over here, and then they vote on a bunch of things. I lost track of the vote on the designation. And then all of a sudden they were talking about zoning, and I was like, did they vote on the designation? And the person I was there that was also talking about that, he said, oh yeah, that passed, but nobody even said anything. There were no remarks. And so it was so anticlimactic.
Yeah. Well, and also too, when you have so many people signed up to speak for different subjects, but they lump all the speakers together, when someone gets up there, you have no context for what they're speaking about.
And you have to use part of your time to say what you're there to speak about. So you have to say, I'm speaking on this item in order for anybody to know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So that's another thing we have to fix with public comment.
Yeah.
But okay, so
there are a few things you have to fix with public comments to get them really how ideally we would want them pre-Maddie Parker, correct?
Yes.
Well, yeah, and that was the thing that was like a bittersweet victory about what happened on Tuesday is that
I know you were a buzzkill in the Discord. I remember you're like, hey guys, great job, but it was all very valid.
Yeah, all we did was get it moved back to how it was before they fucked up public comment in October. Not even to how they fucked up public comment back in 2022.
Yeah.
So the amount of energy it took just to get back what we already had, because it was back in, I think, August that the Gather met about what are some proactive ways we fix public comment. We were already having this conversation before they fucked it up.
Yeah.
And look at how much effort it took to get just this much back. But at least there's momentum for fixing the rest. I do want to go back to, okay, so Elizabeth Beck made that motion, and then they were going to vote to fix the schedule and make sure that the time limit would not be reduced without all of council.
A whole vote by the entire council, mayor and council, so that it's not just at the discretion of the chair. They have to vote, which means that somebody needs to say why.
On the record, and we're going to see who.
They could just vote without saying anything on the record, but they at least have to say we're voting to cut time. And then you'll see who made the motion to cut time and who seconded it, so it's not just a mayor's decision.
So when Elizabeth made that motion and council voted on it, what happened?
It was not unanimous, and we all gasped.
Well, surprisingly, all the Republicans voted in favor of fixing public comment, but there was one Democrat who voted against it.
I would like to, before we about to rail on Carlos Flores, which is going to be one of my favorite things to do in 2026, I do want to make sure we pause and just acknowledge all the people who came out and spoke showed up and kicked ass.
Yes.
You made a difference in your city.
Absolutely.
This is what people power looked like.
Absolutely.
Realize from DEI to public comments, all of these are reps of us building our muscle as people. And so at the end of the day, we have to build the endurance. We have to build the muscle. And like you go to the gym to work on your physical muscle, coming to comments is working on our civical muscle. And clearly, Carlos is the person in the gym that he never gets results. And so he's sat up here for 10 years, and he was the only person who did not vote for public comments to be restored, plus having to vote for our 3 minutes. And
the moment that happened,
I
wish I had a close-up on his face, because my instant reaction was seeing Mia Hall literally gasp, like hand in front of her mouth, like looking around, being like, did y'all Republicans mean to vote that way?
Yo, yeah.
And then instantly Carlos was like, wait, no, what did we just vote on?
Yeah.
And Ann whispered to me, well, I guess he's not running again.
I just didn't understand what, and I think...
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to be mad. If I give him grace, you're going to be mad.
Fuck. Go ahead, though.
I'm sorry.
Okay, if it sounds like there's a weird jump in the audio right now, it's because we went on a 25-minute tangent and we're trying to jump back in, and we've all lost track of where we left off. So what we wanted to add in is some context for how the vote went down. So when Chris Nettles implied that he was going to make a motion to fix this and amend some things. Then Elizabeth Beck was specific about it. It's like she wanted to amend the motion.
She didn't want to amend the motion. She wanted to amend the proposal.
Exactly, yes. So that everyone was always guaranteed their 3 minutes unless all of council, like a majority of council, voted to cut people's time, which the pro side of that is that then we could see on record who voted in what way. So you know exactly who to be mad at. So Elizabeth mentioned that. And then all of council, well, not all, but most of council talked about, their feelings on public comment. And it was interesting. Macy Hill said some very confusing, hypocritical things.
That a little bit.
Okay. And then they were like, okay, well, let's vote on it. And they voted. And immediately Mia Hall gasped, hand over her mouth, realizing what had happened. The Republicans voted in favor of it. And the only person left out in the lurch voting against it was Carlos Flores. And I wish I had a close-up on the look on his face, because he was like, oh, fuck. Oh, no. What did we just do?
What did I just do?
I think he was surprised to see he was the only one out there. And Anne whispered to me, I guess he's not running for council again, because it seems clear that he thought that he was just voting on guaranteeing people those 3 minutes, and that later they would vote on fixing public comment. With the schedule, at least. And so Crane tried to do him a solid and be like, well, let's revote on this again. And even Mia Hall was like, what's going on? I'm not confused. Like, Mia is the freshman on council and clocked exactly what was happening. And Carlos Flores, as the mayor pro tem, the longest serving council member, wasn't paying attention, wasn't aware of how this works. Like, I don't know. That's embarrassing that you could be in that role for so long and not have a clue how this works. Or like what you're voting on. Like, that makes me concerned. Like, how often does that happen where he doesn't know what he's hitting a yes vote or no for?
I think the Republicans just moved on him. I mean, Macy Hill was going green. That was definitely not on the bingo card. Like, after her little comment.
Yeah, exactly. Her words said the opposite of how she voted. So that was confusing.
Yeah, and then Charles Lauersdorf was very awkward and weird about it. He was like, well,
they were both being very critical of public comment.
Yes.
That was the thing that drove me insane, is their comments were very disparaging to what they hear at public comment.
And so you had those guys go green. I want to also go back to the beginning of the meeting, because there was, what's hilarious about this is that Carlos was politicking very hard at the beginning of council. Mm-hmm. He acknowledged a local judo group, which had a bunch of brown kids who learned judo. He took a picture with them, which is normal practice at a council. Mm-hmm. But, big vote, a lot of people. You got the kids.
Lots of comments from the council members on everything they've been doing in the community. Yes. More than 3 minutes each.
and then so he does that, and then he talks about LULAC and chorizo menudo and Latino leadership and how we're so thankful. So he was setting it up. His name's on the letter of signing it, and he ruins all of that with his vote. And I love that for us as people, to show that this is who Carlos Flores is. Mm-hmm. And what did you see him try to do? One of the things we're not talking enough about Carlos in this is that when a vulnerable person is in the corner, they use their greatest weapon. And his greatest weapon is, policies and procedures of the rules, in the context, I'm just trying to vote on the rules. And they oppress you by that jargon, and that is something that if he got good at anything over a decade, is he act like whatever he logicified in his brain. That was the darkness of Carlos Flores, and we saw it on camera.
Well, and they voted that way the last time. The lawyer pointed that out. The city attorney pointed out that we combined the number of meetings we were having, keeping them as just public comment meetings, and the procedures by which we followed. When they put those new procedures in there to allow the automatic cut of time, they did it in one vote. And so it was not anything different than what had been done previously. And
again, we're going to talk about in short number 2 county commissioners, but I'm literally tired of these Latino men enabling the systems of today and drowning out not just people who look like them. This was an easy vote. Clearly, Macy did it. And you still have something wrong with your ego and something wrong inside of you to allow the people to breathe. It's like someone who, do I give the kids more TV time because I'm afraid of who they're going to become? And he's afraid of who we are becoming in Fort Worth. And so he tried to nip something in the butt because that's how afraid he is. And I think that is just very unfortunate. And I think, he should be done as a council member.
Yep.
Speaking of people who might need to be done as council members,
that was a good one.
I don't even know what to say about this.
Yep. I had so many people texting me a screenshot of Michael Crane's mugshot from his DWI. And then, got a news article about it in my inbox right after.
I had 3 different text groups send it to me. Boom, 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 like that. And I was like, what? This has got to be AI fake.
Yeah. Well, I mean.
But then also, I hate to say it, but I was not, it was not shocking to me.
The things, I mean, what I love about, to me, I didn't do a lot of posting about it. People ask me a lot about it. I didn't say a lot about it because, like, I'm someone who's like, I've been telling y'all who Michael Crane was for a minute. Like, I'm like, I've been straight up front and clear. This guy is not the mayor. I've been saying anyone who thinks this guy is going to be the mayor is laughable. And I say the same thing if it was Macy Hill. I've been saying the same thing. It's like, these people don't have the opportunity. Neither does Carlos. They're just not it. The tide of change has passed these people by, and they no longer know how to step into the moments. And what's great is you don't even have to do anything to show it to the people. They just did it to themselves.
Yeah.
And that's, to me, it's like, we've been saying this on the pod, and it came in a version of a DUI today. It could have come from the law and suit that he was dealing with his business partner. It could have gone with the travel expenses in city council. Who knows what he was doing in travel expenses? It looks like every place he went was Las Vegas. So at the end of the day, like, I think this whole DUI thing is now people can say what we've been saying.
Well, and the thing that I find the most disturbing about DUIs specifically is that a lot of people just jump right in with people make mistakes. We all make mistakes.
And I don't know if it's a lot of people.
For this, it's full up in my feed. I don't know. It may be that I'm just have an algorithm that other people do not have. But it seems like a lot of people are saying, and I this is from long before this ever happened to any council members, because this is the second time a council member in the city of Fort Worth has gotten a DUI in my sphere of knowledge.
This is the second council member, because Carrie Moon got 3 DUIs.
Oh, yeah. Well, yes. I'm second council member, not second DUI. Yeah. And then he also violated his probation and still continued to serve in office. And then ran for a state office.
Insane.
So all these things that you would think would be disqualifying have not been disqualifying to this point. But for me, as someone who advocates for safe streets and not killing people on our streets, we got to get more serious about this shit. Mm-hmm. Sorry. We'll have an explicit rating on our podcast today.
That is the correct level of anger. More anger is necessary for drunk drivers because, like, first off, we shouldn't be living in a car-dependent society.
Exactly.
And we shouldn't be getting hammered when you drove yourself there. Like,
requiring massive amounts of parking for bars. And
what's crazy is we've all talked about this. Michael Crane, when you were in council, used to work at Uber as a lobbyist. Like, yo, bro, like it's just kind of like
I think you know how to get home safely.
You know how to get home safely. Probably got a nicer app than we all do. Like, and so it's and if you also look at Michael Crane, right? Again, what made this so great without even trying? It's kind of like the Maddie Parker Patrice moment. No one that what you can't. You by showing up and putting pressure on them, you see what is real. You see the quality of your leadership once it is cooked. Once you put pressure on it, you're starting to see what it is. You saw Maddie Parker do this with Patrice. You see Carlos doing it with silencing the people. You see Michael Crane getting a DUI.
Yeah. I saw people in the Discord asking, like, could this disqualify him? And we were saying no because of Carrie Moon. But one option on the table is censure. And back when there was Carrie Moon, Ann was the lone voice of reason on council. So now that we have a more reasonable council, I'm curious to see, like, will they do anything to, like,
I don't think so.
Hold him accountable? But if I say it out loud, it might make it happen.
Well, here's the reason why I don't think they. So, and I mean, if we're still talking about the council, I don't think they will because Michael Crane's too close like Michael Crane's good at politicking, and I think a lot of relationships that are built. Like if there's any, I just think Michael Crane and other council members have relationships, and I don't think the council's bold enough to actually do the things. I mean, again, like thankful for Beck for like, hey, can we do anything about 3 minutes? Because even Nettles up there, like Nettles was like,
we can take care of that later.
yeah, we can take care of that later. Like, or even when it's like, public comments at the front of the meeting. Like, this is the first time I'm hearing about it.
Later too.
Yeah, but it's like, to me, when a council member says, this is the first time I'm hearing about it.
That's not true. Bob Willoughby has said it for years.
Yeah, and it's just like something happens in Fort Worth with ICE and 80 people show up and say, we want you to detach from ICE. Like, you're going to be like,
this is the first time I'm hearing it
here. Like, no, like the whole point of a council is to live up to the moment that the people are asking you to lead.
And to be a leader, which means coming up with ideas and being proactive on solutions.
And you can clearly go in, Chris Nettles, Mia Hall, Deborah Peoples, Elizabeth Beck, go back to 2021 public comments and say, these are the things we're going to vote on. Jeanette, you know you need a vote. Carlos, you definitely now know you need a vote. Michael, you already said your public comments. So, and go be bolder.
Yeah.
Just because they're giving us crumbs doesn't mean the Democrats on council deserve grace. They need to step up.
We'll just end this by saying, I look forward to the day where no council member gets another DUI, where no more drinking and driving for any elected official, anyone.
For anyone.
God damn, Jesus.
Good Lord.
That was a long one,
Yeah.
right? That was.
So moving into short story 2, I want to lead this one in because I did go to Commissioner's Court. I went to Commissioner's Court to speak about the situation with the Tadabishi family and just kind of make sure it was on the radar that there's a Fort Worth kid, who might, have to deal with his life due to ICE abducting his father. So anyways, with all that, like the Commissioner's Court went 6 hours. You want to talk about a train wreck? Man, this once a month Commissioner's Court
what a mess.
Is lunatic.
They can't get done the business they need to get done in one meeting.
Too much.
And it is just, and the amount of corruption that happens from people with clear evidence, Republicans showing up with evidence saying, you're going to give PILF, the people who gerrymandered this county, $75,000 more when $250,000 was the original contract, and they vote yes. And so, like, the Commissioner's Court is so toxic. But one of the things that I think is most important is they doubled down on their agreement with 287G and ICE, and somehow felt like the moment to do it is to do a press conference about it right after we had the ICE protests. And I just want everyone to know is that I believe the county is doubling down in its extremism because they're seeing the power of what's being pushed by the ladies and the people at Tarrant County, but then also about what's happening in Fort Worth. And I think it's just concerning that on top of that, you got the 10 Commandments here. And we had a press conference down in downtown with 10 Commandments, and Nate Scatzline is speaking. Manny Ramirez is doing the pledge. Like Christian nationalism and ICE, I don't even know what to call this conglomerate that exists in our Tarrant County system. But this, going back to the first story, is also why our city council members are not understanding the level of the game of boldness they need to be standing in. All 6 Democrats need to be press conference against the 10 Commandments downtown. All 6 Democrats need to write letters against the ICE agreement that they're putting in. And we're not going to have that in our city. And if the mayor doesn't want to do it, then we got to do something. Those are the kind of things that need to be happening. And I think the county commissioner's court is just an example of they're doubling down on us.
This is short story number 2, but it's like a whole overriding topic because there was so much in the news on this topic. Yeah. There was, like you said, what happened at Commissioner's Court. There was the 10 Commandments on the lawn, and they've also, approved funding for the deaths in the jails as well. Mm-hmm. So these are just things that keep
approved
getting
funding for the lawyers, for the lawsuits that were inevitable.
Yeah.
And do we remember how much the amount is? I think we heard today it was $800,000.
But that's just their lawsuit, I think.
Okay, so $800,000 of taxpayers' money is going towards lawyers to defend the county for wrongful deaths in the jail.
Right. And I think that might just be one wrongful death.
Just one family, and we've had 70 deaths.
And that one family's case hasn't even gone to court yet.
Absolute insanity.
Yeah.
You also had the 12 undocumented immigrants detained by ICE through Keller's police partnership
that the mayor was bragging about.
Yes.
That mayor is losing his damn mind.
Well, he's the Sharia law guy, too, who was trying to make proclamations about Sharia law. So.
Well, maybe Maddie Parker will endorse him, too, one day.
Jeez. But then also, like, we've, on the topic of ICE in Tarrant County, we heard they were in Magnolia. We heard they were in Parks Mall.
Well, people ask me, like, why don't we see ICE? If ICE is so bad, why don't you see it in Fort Worth? Well, I bet, I bet it's because Fort Worth is the Republican city on a hill, and they're giving us the grace. We're not Chicago. We're not Minneapolis. Trump is mad at Tim Walz, right? All this is, and you can argue, and this is something we need to ask ourselves in Fort Worth, right? You can argue because you have a Maddie Parker Republican leading the largest Republican city. Sure, this is a benefit of that, but is that a sign of why I think the establishment has brainwashed us and say, yeah, I would prefer a Maddie Parker-led Fort Worth so ICE doesn't come to our town.
But ICE did come to our town.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
While his father was taken.
Exactly. So it's not even holding up.
Yep.
And there's gonna be more, because I think that there's quotas that they're trying to meet, and they can't meet them without coming to places like our area, because there is a large population of Hispanic people here and people who are, immigrants.
Yeah.
And so I think that this will be a target area, regardless of if we can hold up and say, we're not what they're trying to
100%.
fight.
Yeah. Well, and not even just a city of immigrants, but just anyone, because like we've learned, ICE doesn't get any training. It's just a bunch of idiots doing just idiot bullies. And you might have seen this like national article titled, "You've heard about who ICE is recruiting. The truth is far worse, and I'm the proof." And it's about a journalist who went to and got hired by ICE with a 6-minute interview, signed no paperwork, and immediately started working for them. And the reason I bring this up is we found out that was in Arlington. That was at the ICE job fair that they had in Arlington recently.
I don't know that she worked for them, but they reached out to her and basically said that she'd been approved for all kinds of things, and it was paperwork that she'd never even signed.
Yeah.
And they were just gung-ho to get her right on board, and she was just doing it as an experiment, basically. And she's like, if they had done a Google search on me, they would have seen immediately that I didn't fall into categories that they were trying to recruit for, and they just were like, here you go. No drug test, no background check, all kinds of craziness.
And these are the people who are going to be roaming these streets
with masks
terrorizing
on,
neighborhoods,
with
kidnapping
weapons.
people.
I think this is, we had a couple of long rants today. This is why it's taken forever to record this pod, because this is an important pod.
It's an important subject.
Yeah. And the whole pod is important, like in the lens of it's a new year. We had a pretty ugly 2025 in Fort Worth, and we organized and we thought, okay, maybe public comments, maybe it's going to get better. And 2026,
it's a lot of
they're
fights
just
ahead.
getting started. I mean, they're building bigger detention centers. They're just getting started, right? Tim O'Hare feels confident enough to put the 10 Commandments in our city, and our mayor not say crap. It's getting bigger, and so where I'm trying to struggle is just like,
well, they're turning warehouses into detention centers in Texas. So even if they're not coming to our community and swooping up people, are we okay with having people detained in deplorable conditions in our community? I think we cannot wait for these things to come and affect us personally. And they are affecting us personally. If we're honest, they're affecting us personally.
Week, right?
Exactly. But you just don't want to wait until it gets so bad, which is why we always point to actions that we can do now, and why we might sound a little hysterical right now with we've got to do something and not wait for it to get bad, because it is bad for other people and that affects us.
Yeah. Well, and I wanted to point out, like you said, they're ramping up, but the pushback is ramping up too. Like I love seeing all the different ways people are coming up with to fight back, to stop fascism in its tracks and make sure they're a small, loud bunch of losers. And I think when you ask the average person on the street what kind of world they want to live in, it doesn't look anything like what the fascists want.
But this is where, but
if they don't stand up, it is gonna loud group of people is gonna get their way because nobody else said anything.
Exactly.
But then that's where it's like, let's look at the 10 Commandments situation, right? 10 Commandments, we had we had a group of protesters there of pastors and religious people. Mindy Tackett was there, who's a friend of the pod. And, they got kind of shoved off, but like she was resisting by using her voice and saying, these are our rights to be able to be on these sidewalks, to be able to be here. You can't put us in a corner because it messes up your photo op or your experience. But like, I think that's a form of the next step of resistance we have to do, right? You saw Alex Montalvo stop from leaving public comment. You saw Sabrina Ball try to stay up there a little longer when her 2 minutes was gone. That's the next stage, but we're only in January. So like where I'm trying to battle as people who are the amplifiers and the narrative tellers of this city is being responsible with that influence of where does this resistance needs to go over time. And, we have to just monitor that as a group of listeners and a group of leaders on the gather and a group of people. I don't have an answer to that, but let's be clear. I'm cognizant that we're all trying to set a tone of resistance and also deciding, are we doing enough? And I'd be interested if you're in the Discord and other people, like, what do you think? Like, do you feel like we're doing enough? Do you feel like there's another gear? Because I would like to definitely see it from our political officials. And I think a lot of people, because it's 2026, they're believing is that we just got to hold on to November. And if we hold on to November, maybe we get the House, maybe we get the Senate, and you can impeach his ass and all this goes away.
No, that's the easy way to do it. There's a lot of hard fights between now and then that need us.
And that's not going to happen without pressure being applied all the way through, not waiting until then.
And you have those Democrats who are like, the 70 Democrats in Congress who are like pretty chill with like, okay with us having ICE in the way it operates. You have Mark Vesey saying his comments about, don't fall into the trap when the political campaign people ask you when you're on a panel, do you believe in abolishing ICE? Don't fall for the trap.
How is that a trap?
Yeah. I think he's hearkening back to defund the police and how that caused a bunch of people to get anti whatever we were trying to do.
But that's actually a great point to bring up, because then what happened? You got Joe Biden as president and Donald Trump is back. So you know what you should have said? Defund the police.
Just fix it the first time.
Defund the police. Because then you get Joe Biden's and Mark Vesey's. And at the end of the day, we are here because of this inch by inch game and not playing.
We need more than that.
Yeah, it's time to because now getting into the third story, right? Yep. Mm-hmm. Now getting into the third story, because what we're all under is this is about money. This is about capitalism. And at the end of the day, they want to privatize our education. They're already making bukus of money in the jail. And now ICE detention centers are a new revenue model and a new pathway to money. And that's ultimately what this is about. And so, of course, in Fort Worth, our two economic drivers are, Lockheed Martin is our highest employer in our city. Our city staff and our county is also a high revenue creator, our tax dollars. And so they are taking our county dollars and spending it on lawsuits, spending it on jails. But then over here, something that kind of went under the radar is Pete Hegseth, who is ahead of the Department of War now, and we all know how horrible he is, came to celebrate Lockheed Martin's historic revenue and financial outcomes that they have received and how fast they can create planes. And then he said what? Do y'all remember what he said? The comments he said?
I mean, the one that stuck out for me was, he wants manly men to be in the military and no men in dresses. So, of course, hearkening back to the culture wars that get people just wound up.
Yeah, said no woke ideology.
Yep.
And you know who's in that audience? Our mayor's sitting there. Mm-hmm. You know who's sitting in that audience? Black and brown people who work at Lockheed Martin because they got to pay the bills. So, at the end of the day, I'm not saying that it's easy, but when we talked about the epicenter of extremism, man, they're doubling down, right? Nate Scatzline is downtown with Judge Tim O'Hare. Did you hear what Judge Tim O'Hare said on Star Telegram? This is a great win for Tarrant County. None of this was paid by tax dollars. This was paid by private donors. And it's so great to have American heritage and the 10 Commandments, because if you really look at it, 10 Commandments is the beginning of Western heritage and the Western front.
All of that's a lie.
Yes. But you know what he got away with?
They just say it enough and people believe it.
And you get Star Telegram to report it and say it, and you don't get a lot of pushback from a mayor. And then you get Pete Hegseth, who comes into Lockheed Martin, and he gets to say what he gets to say with no one saying a little callback. When we talk about us being the front lines, like, this is it. It's like, what do we say yes to? It's okay. And what do we say? No, fuck that shit. And when I'm talking about the gears of how much we should be upset, when you got people like Bud Kennedy, who's desynthesizing and making things less trying to moderate it and make people calm, I think we have to decide, like, what are we the voice of, and what moment are we in? I don't think we have the responsibility to make those answers, but we need more people to come to the gather. And we had a record-breaking gather because people are ready for answers, and it's going to take all of us to ask these questions. How much pressure does the resistance need to create? How much more amplification do we need to have as media people in this space? So I'm just saying, like, this week was tough for me because I felt like, holy smokes, they're showing their teeth. Christian nationalism in Fort Worth. The war machine is showing its teeth in Fort Worth. And clearly our elected officials don't yet see the responsibility they have on being a part of history where maybe we fight through this, because maybe what they believe is that it's too late. And if you're a leader up there that feels like it's too late, then it's time to elect you out. Now, if you're someone who believes it's too late and you're working like in one of these crazy places, cool. But I meet some great people anonymously under the thread who work at the county, who work at the city, who are doing some great work under the covers. And I just hope there's more of those, because for us to allow Pete Hegseth to just show up to Lockheed Martin, and of course that's your papa to your money. We got Israel going on right now, and creating a genocide. You got Venezuela, you got still Ukraine and Russia still happening. Of course, Lockheed Martin's having breaking records, and is that the kind of capitalism we want to exist here in Fort Worth?
That's what Trump keeps saying. He ended 8 wars, and it seems like there's a whole lot of warring going on still.
Exactly. What do you feel I mean, you guys are Fort Worth more than I am, in a sense of, like, we have a lot of pride in that we build all this in Fort Worth.
I have zero pride for building death machines.
Yeah.
I don't want them to exist anywhere for any reason.
How was it working on council with, like, these cultures existing? You didn't really have the Christian nationalism culture back then, but Lockheed Martin and
that's always been, because it is an economic driver.
Yeah.
So that's what it always falls back to. When people talk about things that might be damaging to our environment, things that, promote war, which is definitely not my upbringing, that's all been kind of pushed forward by economic development, that's what drives our economy here. And so we need to have it for jobs.
And that's where, I mean, you brought up another good part on economy. Is one of my worries about all this ICE stuff and all the public comment stuff locally is they're giving us something to occupy while data centers get passed, right? While business incentives get passed on things. And so I love the last gather because it was so many people who wanted to get very technical about affordable housing, about environmental justice. And clearly what we need is more eyes in places. Mm-hmm. Public comments would have not happened if Ann didn't somehow read the agenda, somehow figured it out. Somehow 5 people showed up. Patrice Jones is Patrice Jones. Maddie Parker makes a mistake. Carlos Flores is no longer in office because he shows who he is and makes a mistake. Showing up is a part of the game, putting eyes on these things. And we just need more eyes in Fort Worth, in all places, in all corners of this city, so that we can show them for who they are. More people can rise, more people can resist, and we can be the front line of change. And then we're the bat signal to 2028 and a better future. There you go, guys. We're back. You see the groove we're getting? You see, But it's an important episode. This is an important episode.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, this is an important
It's
episode.
a long one. I feel like at this point, I'm going to have to start apologizing on a regular basis, is that our wins, losses, and actions are long again. I don't want them to constantly be so long, but there's too much news happening. So I realized last time I said I was going to rapid fire them, and there's just no way. We all have to provide some context to a lot of these headlines. So we're just going to start, and we're going to see how long this takes. So here we go. Tarrant Democrats seek to remove all GOP judicial 2 Texas House candidates from ballot. So last episode, we talked about how the Republicans were trying to get Democrats off the ballot. And apparently the Democrats were already in the process of taking a close look at how the Republicans got their candidates on the ballot. And with the news of that breaking, Allison Campolo was saying, kind of thank you for bringing attention to this, because now it made it very easy for us to get volunteers to look at what the Republicans did wrong with their paperwork. So,
and all 41 Republican judicial candidates.
All of them.
You went, what I love, so kudos, Allison Campolo, Renee Tellis, and the Tarrant Democratic Party, and our boy Stephen Bryan, who was in there counting signatures, this is the kind of leadership. When we talked about what we're just talking about, it may not come out with standing and resisting at a protest, but it's like
doing the legal legwork.
It's like, okay, well, I'm going to come out and punch.
Well, it's also
back.
interesting because they are the ones that keep saying election integrity, election integrity, election integrity. And then they try to tackle us and say, you're not doing it right, when in reality, they're not. Yeah. And so it came back and bit them in the ass.
Yeah, they have 2 old heads that come to county commissioners every time who just talks about election integrity. I'm like, man, I wonder what pockets this game wet, on this.
How are they feeling about this story?
Yeah, and exactly.
Yep.
But yeah, no, I think this is a good one.
Yep. And another win that I'm very excited about is the Fort Worth Report staff is forming a union.
Come on,
yeah.
Fort Worth Report.
85% of their staff had signed their union cards, and now they're asking the editor, publisher, board to voluntarily recognize them.
I can guess who did it. Bob Francis.
Yeah.
Look, that's an easy one. You could just tell by the way he writes. Like, he's like, gosh, this is too much clout for too much stuff.
Yep. I did have an idea today on my way in, is that I was regularly donating to Fort Worth Report, and then I had to get a different credit card, so that one stopped. And now I realized I have been meaning to renew my donations to them. I should send them an email saying, I will happily renew my donations once you recognize the union. And so I would just want to...
Are they not
Here's an
recognizing
action? Well, we don't know yet. This just happened.
Yes. So they are asking for them to voluntarily do this. And so we don't know if it'll lead to a strike. I mean, hey, Chris Cobbler and them could do the right thing right off the bat, and I really hope that they do, and I encourage them to. But I just want to say, if anyone else wants to do that with me, email Fort Worth Report and say, hey, I'm looking forward to donating once y'all recognize the union, and then we'll see if that helps with some forward momentum there.
I'm actually at this point where we need to really be thinking about a community newspaper. Like, can we, like, if you think about it, right? There's 2.2 million Tarrant County people. You get 2,000 people paying $100. What's that? $200,000 for the year. You can hire 3 journalists right there.
Yeah.
And you can have Bradford back right now, and we can have Bradford rocking people's socks right now.
Yeah, because there have been multiple times where there have been really important stories that need to be told, but who are you going to get to write about them? Star Telegram has conservative editors. Fort Worth Report, we recently learned, has a conservative editor.
Yeah.
I looked at Chris Cobbler's voting history. Every Republican primary.
And and same with Steven, the other guy at Star Telegram, Republican. Because I asked you then to let's look at him. And what to me that also shows, they're a part of the game of the Fort Worth way.
Very much so.
They're not, because I don't believe either of them are MAGA people. If they are, they're really, really good at hiding it. But they are.
They're pro status quo, which is the issue.
Yeah, pro status quo.
Is that when you have a story that needs to challenge the status quo, who's going to get that story out there?
Yeah.
Yep.
And
Fort Worth Weekly?
They've been quiet.
They have been really quiet.
Ed Brown
lately.
left too. So
Yeah.
it's like he would have been the one, but
Can we acquire the Fort Worth Weekly? Is that something we can actually, like, would they like make that something happen?
I don't know. They might
Maybe
encourage
looking
that.
for a buyer.
Yeah, exactly.
Or we can start a community paper. I'm really doing it. If you guys are serious about this, we need to start building our own community paper and just take the establishment style out of it. I think because just imagine 6 months from now, let's say public comments didn't get restored. Let's say the newspaper goes on a strike and you're not getting news. Think about
how
democracy and how far we're gone. And that's like, again, why the tone we need to set in Fort Worth is when are we going to build this power? Because it's right here in front of us.
This next story is one I know all of us are excited about, and in particular, there were two back-to-back articles recently, one saying housing advocates say Fort Worth's $5 million bond proposal isn't enough. And then like a week later, we got an article saying majority of Fort Worth Council wants more money for affordable housing in the bond proposal.
So, and that's going to come before the council for a vote before they finalize the propositions in that bond, which will be on your ballot on May 2nd. And we've been scrambling to try to find the date when the council is going to be discussing the final language that goes into that bond proposition stuff, and whether or not there's time for us to continue to advocate, because we've had people show up at the public meetings that they had. We had people show up at a meeting where they discussed it in work session, I think. And continue to share that more needs to be added to that. In the last public comment meeting of 2025, there were people there to speak in favor of more funding for affordable housing on that bond. So I think there will be action items where you can still make that heard in the community. Because the city did a study itself in 2023 around conservation of neighborhoods and affordable housing, where an item was identified that they need $100 million in the next 5 years to tackle affordable housing. And $100 million in a bond was what they were saying would be one of the items that they should do. And they are now doing 5, and we will not have another bond for 4 years. So there's no way to get done in that 5-year period what this item that they adopted in 2023 said that they should do. So the argument to add more in this bond is strong.
And we need to get the date, which we probably don't have yet.
Well, but I want to point out, Ann spent 15 minutes trying to find that date. And I'm thinking, with someone as knowledgeable and motivated as Ann not being able to find that date.
We have a date?
That is a concern.
We still don't have a date.
We still don't have a date.
We're 2 hours in now. We still don't have a date. So
I mean, there's a deadline for when those propositions have to be finalized and approved by the council to be on that May 2nd agenda. And I know in a PowerPoint somewhere, the timeline is listed out. And I literally have been Googling this whole podcast time trying to find that date, and I still have not found it.
And let's how much was the money for this bond going to be?
It's just $5 million.
But no, how much is
the overall bond? Is
850
around
that.
So let's be crystal clear what's happening right here. The 817 pod, and one of the greatest architects of figuring out things, has spent an hour, and we cannot find the dates of when the people can come and advocate for what they want this bond to be. It is $800 million. And let's be clear, we can all ask very important people. And you said what you said, and I think you are right. No one even knows. Like, it is sitting on a desk and a piece of paper because leadership doesn't even know, possibly.
Well, that they're not motivated to make this an opportunity that
right.
To
I think
get more
at this
feedback.
point they see it as they had their public engagement meetings, and
their
they would like
boxes.
to cleanly vote on the propositions at the official meeting where they're accepting what staff has come to the conclusion of after all those public meetings. And they don't want people to show up and say, no, more. You didn't hear us.
And those public comments weren't actually like those public comments were very introductory. Of like, hey, here's what we're doing, here's how it works.
Right.
But you didn't have to have more public comments. All right, now that you actually processed that, what do you want?
What did you hear?
Yeah.
What did you hear? That's what I would like to hear back is.
And maybe what we need to do is next public comments for, we are going to organize around the bond. We are going to show them, hey, because you know what, a lot of people, I think Tara said she went to a lot of them. I went to 2 or 3. You went to some.
Yep.
And Mindy went to some, and Chris went to some. We can start organizing. Well, we appreciate that you had the one public meetings, but because we don't feel like you had enough, now we're coming to you here with these are the requests and the things that we want. And I think that would be huge.
Yeah.
But I want us to be clear, though, this is the system working as it does. So construction companies can get paid. Cops can take 40% of our taxes. And the system that exists today continues to exist off of not actually servicing us, just servicing people who are getting some type of balance of cash from how it's been setting up. So I think that's a concern.
Yep. Another win here, also for Ann, is that the city of Fort Worth did a historic landmark designation for the old TXU power plant in Panther Island. So this was something that Ann was advocating for on behalf of Community Design Fort Worth.
As well as AIA and Historic Fort Worth. I think that this is just an opportunity to repurpose a building that comes from history instead of just tearing things down from old time and building everything new and shiny. And this has been done in so many communities. We did elevate this on CDFW's social media about other communities that have done power plants just like this and made them into all kinds of community asset driven things. So
in Minneapolis, they turned them into artist housing.
Yeah.
Super dope.
Awesome.
So it could be a good thing. And the city council saw the value of that and voted to do that designation. Now, whether or not we get a person to actually buy it and redevelop it in a way that that uses that quality that is there, we'll have to wait and see.
Yep.
And then we also had a pedestrian safety improvement plan for Fort Worth intersections has been adopted. Hopefully we can continue to make our streets safer for everyone to be on.
I like the tone in your voice when you say that, where you're like, they passed a plan, let's see if they do anything with it. Like
well, there's
been
also
through this
many things going on right now that are flying in the face of that. So I'm not sure I totally believe that this plan is going to be carried forward the way it needs to be. There's a lot of intersections in Fort Worth, and many of them have been built in a way that are not the safest for people who are not inside metal boxes.
Yes.
So
2-ton metal boxes. But hey, a step in the right direction. And if we just keep drilling it home that's what we want is safer streets.
Well, I mean, look, you guys, one of your wins here is new leadership for Near South Side as Mike Brennan exits to go to Trinity Metro.
Yep.
So that has to be good for you guys.
Yeah.
I think we have a great
you
person
guys, you
heading up.
too.
No, I do benefit, but I'm just, from the sense of you guys.
We care more.
You guys
Be the
really
crazy nerdy transit people.
Yeah.
So Mike Brennan's going to be heading up the economic development and transit-oriented development arm of Trinity Metro, which I just think it's exciting to see Trinity Metro moving in that space.
Yeah, they're getting some big hitters lately. It's pretty cool.
Because Annette works there, right?
Yep.
Yeah, former head of the Hispanic Chamber. Yeah.
I kind of what a little team that's being built
For
there.
sure.
Absolutely.
I've never met a person who works for Trinity Metro who I didn't like. They're all very solid, smart people.
Yeah, man.
And if you want to hear more from people at Trinity Metro, Community Design Fort Worth at our transit mixer this week on Wednesday, the 21st, we will have people from Trinity Metro coming to talk about World Cup and FIFA and
I'll go if Mike's there. If Mike's there, I'll go.
He doesn't start there formally until April. He's finishing up at near Southside, but
I really like Mike.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
I wish I'd talked to him more.
But the other side of this good news for Trinity Metro is also great news for Near Southside Inc. with Megan Henderson stepping into the role of president for Near Southside Inc.
That's another person I need to have coffee with. Y'all know people. You know what I do though? I feel like it's like a lot of these people, I believe they're doing good work, and it's easier to do that work if we're not hanging out together. That's really what it is.
You're going to thwart their efforts.
I want you to know, Mike Brennan, I would love to hang out with you once a week, but what you're doing is you're doing, and I don't want you to get tied into all this mess. And dove in. I appreciate it, but not everyone has to do that.
Yep. Yeah, we're all very excited for Megan Henderson and Mike Brennan.
Oh, another win this weekend really quickly is how the 817 Gather group really organized to support Samaria's family. Samaria was an infant, a baby who didn't make it due to she was born, but when we didn't make it, twins, I believe.
There were twins.
There was twins, and the situation is that the parents were shocked about basically at the morgue their kid not having their organs, and feels there's a lot of injustice in communication and concern as we have a history of how Black moms, Black families, and people who are dead when Black, how are managed and handled in Texas and in America. And so we had a great protest, getting to sit there with the family and just seeing the community come together. And even he said to me, it's like, man, it's so great to see you guys here because you don't feel alone. And I think at the end of the day, like, this work it was a win for me. It's because that's what we do is we amplify. We help someone go from 1 to 2. You go to 2, you just double the amount of people there. You had another person, you just grew it by 50%, right? And if we continue to realize our presence matter, and it was so cool to see. Even Nydia Cardenas showed up and was there, in her busy schedule, holding a sign out there in 40-degree weather with the family. So it was a really good moment, and I believe they're going to get some answers of what happened.
And moving into losses, I realized I spoke too soon last week when I mentioned that Dallas Republicans were wanting to switch to precinct-only voting because they couldn't get through with their hand-counting ballots. I was like, I hope the Tarrant County Republicans aren't listening. Sure enough, they were. The headline says, Tarrant County GOP promises to explore hand-counting ballots in future elections, but not this year's. So we've bought some time before their stupid fuckery can happen, but
I think the Mercy Culture people are listening too. I said, "Oh, Mercy Culture, they're left. They're in DC now," and then they put 10 Commandments on our street.
Man, well, that was already in the works, but yeah.
But the celebration.
I think we speak too soon. That might be more of what happens. So that is for sure a loss. A loss for Tarrant GOP voters. Like, this hurts you more than anyone. So stop your party from being idiots.
Except for that the Democrats have to follow whatever structure is set up for one, because they're not going to have two separate structures.
Really?
So it hurts all of us. Yeah. I don't think that they can do it one way. I think they vote. They all have
the elections are handled jointly. I know that much, but the nuance of who gets to do what, I think, is still
there's an elections board.
Yeah.
And Allison is on it.
Yep.
And the head of the GOP is on it. And the judge is on it.
Mm-hmm.
And a couple other people. And they vote on how elections are going to be handled in Tarrant County. I don't think it's a matter of one gets to do it one way and the other one gets to do it another way.
But the primaries, I think, is where you get a little bit more flexibility, because that's what we talked about last week, what Dallas is doing. But the downstream implications of it is what's still TBD.
I think getting Allison Campolo back on the pod would be big for this. I mean, that's actually another win we could add on and put it into actions, but which is the 817 pod is going to be doing February 20th at the Tarrant Democratic Party fundraiser on Friday. We're going to do private podcasts, I guess, VIP podcasts, possibly interview some important people. Maybe we can have Allison Campolo on, talk about this, and then also talk about that event.
There you go.
Another loss is $80 million cooling equipment plant considered as more data centers are built in Fort Worth. Fuck data centers. I don't want
going to town with the cussing this
we are,
episode.
but I'll say it every time we bring up data centers, because truly, fuck them. Another one that is sad to read is North Texas will have a Charlie Kirk Parkway to honor Turning Point USA found. This is in Hood County, so it's...
I forgot about this one.
Yeah. Was it?
Hood.
Yeah.
It is Hood County.
Yeah.
Hood County.
Yep.
Ooh, oh, yes.
County.
The people who are watching live or watching the episode will appreciate that one. And then UT Arlington offers buyouts to employees amid federal funding cuts.
Yeah, I'm a little concerned because they've got a big growth expansion plan going on right now, but their enrollment from foreign students, which has been very, very high for a long time, has been negatively impacted by the times that we are living in now.
Yep,
and I think they are losing students and therefore having to make cuts, and all in the face of trying to expand to their West campus.
And then another loss. I don't know that you'll see this in an article, but Fort Worth, we missed out on our chance to fix elections and move them to November. I misunderstood this. Chris Tackett was explaining this to me, is that a state law passed that opened up a window where municipalities could choose to move their elections to November. And if you didn't do it within that window, then you'd have to do it in a charter election. So it went from we would just need a majority of city council to vote to fix this, to now it's going to be up for everyone to vote on it, which makes it so much harder.
Is it a window every year, or is it just a full-on
one-time window?
That's wild.
Exactly.
That is indicative of the kind of laws that they pass down there in Austin.
Mm-hmm.
It is insane. Tailoring them so tightly to just get one outcome, and you don't ever know what it is they're trying to accomplish because they're not straight language. That's really frustrating.
Yep. And when because Chris cares about this, he tries to keep an eye on things. And when he learned, he was incredibly frustrated. And then when he told me, I bet you, I would be surprised if anyone in city leadership, I mean, even our city attorney, realized how that deadline came and went. we still got to fix it. We still need to move elections to a time where we can increase voter turnout. November of odd number years would be the ideal spot, but now it's going to be such a lift to fix it.
So they can't like vote on it. Six.
They can vote to put it on a charter election, but they can't vote to just do it outright.
Themselves.
Yeah.
Well, that's one action we didn't take, but here's some actions you can take. So lead us off.
Great. So we have action number 1, January 21st, early voting for Taylor Remmett.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so excited for honestly, I'm not going to lie to you. I can't believe he got to run again right after this, right?
Yeah, he does.
I'm already tired of hearing his name and seeing his face. I'm not going to lie to you. When we were early supporters of Taylor.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's been a long election.
It's adorable seeing like new people excited for him. Like I had someone from my neighborhood like reach out to me like, "Hey, we need to create a town hall in Meadowbrook for Taylor." I'm like, I mean, Katie Sherrod did one 2 months ago. What do you mean? Like, I'm like, people are getting in.
It's good to know new people are still getting activated. He's going to need all the votes he can get.
And you're going to have needed like 4 times this year. So we're going to do this every 4 years. But anyway, 4 times a year. But anyways, Taylor Remmett, big win, January 21st.
Actual election day is January 31st. Early voting starts January 21st.
Yes.
And I can't wait to vote for him. I'm excited. SD9. Gosh, because we had someone bad before, right? Kelly Hancock. Yes. Yep. And he's the one over here pressing the whole, giving the state grants for the ICE, to the ICE people. He was in town for the Tarrant County press release for ICE.
Yikes.
So to have Taylor, be huge.
Yep. One thing I didn't fully understand is that we've been celebrating that there are people filing for Fort Worth City Council District 10. So far, they're just announcing that they have a treasurer. The actual filing doesn't open until February 2nd. And that's to be on the ballot in May to take over.
So do we have a deadline?
Yeah, it's
February
1 month.
2nd.
February 2nd is the start.
Oh, yeah, that's when it opens. It goes until March 2nd.
March 2nd.
So again, if you're listening to this pod and you live in District 10, you can put sentences together. You can breathe. You're on the right side of democracy in a sense of you will stand up for the people. The 817 Gather, the podcast, would love to get to know you. We would love to support you and figure out who you are. So please consider this. Also, though, we're still going to have possibly one of the candidates come on the pod.
One of them has reached out to us to ask to be on the pod. Yes.
Cool. So that's exciting. So maybe we'll have multiple people.
Yep.
Cool.
And then February 17th is when early voting begins for the primaries. So if you're excited to vote for Nydia and all them people.
Another thing that's very important is that February 1st, we are going to have a Precinct 2 preview where we're going to have 3 15-minute interviews with each of the candidates running for Precinct 2. That was the former Elisa Simmons seat that she sits in today. And those 3 candidates are Jared Williams, Amanda Adizola, and Gabe Rivas. So if you live in Precinct 2, that's going to be a great one. Look at us going beyond just Fort Worth.
Yeah, and look it up because you might live in Precinct 2 and you might not have lived in Precinct 2 previously.
And we don't even know it.
Yep.
So
apparently not all the maps have been updated or not all of the voter lookup has been updated. There's people who look at the map and see that they're in 2. They're still being shown their previous precinct.
And I know we're in like a long episode, but something I is thinking about is, and I want this for the listeners to know because I try to be as authentic and transparent on this pod as possible. And I want you guys to know clearly we are Team Nydia Cardenas. She is one of us. I mean, yes, she doesn't sit here in the chairs with us, but she literally just led 60 people at the 817 Gather. So she's a close friend and she's a close person. So some of you might be thinking, oh, hey, you're going to do Precinct 2. Why not do Precinct 4? Let's be clear. There's a short amount of time. I'm understanding my bias that I'm not sure I could do it. I'm not saying we can't do it, but I want you to know that I and Wesley, other people are thinking about, is that something we bring to the pod or is it just more out of respect of like, hey, we are all pretty much in tight with Nydia and we believe she's the best candidate. No questions asked. And this is this platform that allows us to do that in moments that we believe is important. I don't think that's a thing we expected or planned to do. You can even ask Nydia a year ago. I don't think she expected and planned to run for office.
Right.
And so if that rubs some people the wrong way, I can understand that. But I also want you to know that it was thought through. And to me, it's like I'd be wasting my time and probably you'll be wasting your time because we already know who we want to vote for in precinct 4.
I just want to say that we are being thoughtful about making sure it's fair for all candidates. So when we have precinct 2 on, they're going to have 15 minutes, and I'm not going to edit anything out so that I'm not trying to make anyone look better. You're going to see exactly what they said. And I'm very much open to doing the exact same thing for precinct 4, because I know it will look like we have a bias towards Nydia. She is a good friend of mine, but she's going to get the same treatment. If the other candidates for precinct 4 are down for that format, I'm happy to have everyone on, but just wanted y'all to know ball's in your court if you want to do it.
I don't know if we have to do a podcast. It's not like if a social media influencer supports one candidate, they then go support the other. Like it's like if you are friends with people, you have the right to support your friends.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's just also we do a good job
of
getting the news out to people about like here's who you got. So I think might be fun, might be not.
And hey, chime in, get in a Discord. Tell us what you want.
What would you like to see?
So we just want to thank everybody for sticking with us through this incredibly long episode, but it was an incredibly important episode because we did hash through some things that were really important to discuss. And we are at a pivotal time in our community where the actions that we take, the news that we consume, the people that we support, and the efforts that we put into our community are really, really important to the future of this community as we embark upon being at the front line of democracy in this community. So if you hung through and listened to the whole thing, thank you so much. I hope you'll share it with a friend, encourage other people to join us, and delve into being an active part of this community, which you're so vitally, importantly a part of.
Hell yeah.